Welcome to this week's edition of Mountain Outhouse News. I'm your host, Jam Jam. This is the crazy to happen in running this week. This week's stories include Capell's Gutsy UTMB run, Courtney Dauwalter's ShortsGate, and how Tainted CBD oil may have just ended one pro triathlete's career. The Redux of the 6 Days in the Dome event concluded this past weekend at the Pettit Center. After a hot start, covering over 325 miles in just 72 hours, Joe Fiji's fizzled a bit and concluded his winning 6-day run with 532 miles. He just barely edged out Mr. Consistency Bob Hearn by just 2 miles, and hot on both their heels was Alaskan and no stranger to the 6-day event, David Johnston, who finished with 524 miles. The ladies' race was almost just as exciting, with Courtney Gardner taking the win with 420 miles, followed in second place by Yolanda Holder with 413 and Sandra Villanes in third with 400. What I think is most impressive is that the age range of the men's podium was 49 to 53 years old, while the age range of the women was 47 to 61. And speaking of age, there were 4 over 80 competitors in the field as well. Continuing that theme was another big fixed time event taking place in Tennessee with a race for the ages. This age handicapped race begins with the oldest participants heading out first, and every runner competing head to head, allowed to run for the number of hours of their age. In this race, those between 60 and 70 years old have a pretty big advantage as long as they don't slow down a ton as they age. This year it was 74-year-old Bob Becker taking the win with 230 miles, way out in front of second place Gregory Trapp, age 56, who ran 212. For the women, Letha Cruthers, age 66, ran 175 miles, while Gunhild Swanson, age 75, ran 170. Your youngest competitor, Burrito Cantrell, age 6, ran 16 miles. Also got to shout out Karsten Solheim, who I haven't seen in a bit, was able to get 112 miles done at age 82. Next up, we have the UTMB, which took place this past week out of Chamonix, France. There was a host of races throughout the week, but I'm mainly going to focus on the big one, the full 170 kilometer. This year's UTMB began after a short drizzle of rain as athletes were lining up for the race, but other than that, they had pretty amazing weather. It was definitely, if anything, a bit warm for the region. Pau Capell from Spain, who is one of the top ultra-ranked athletes in the world, took things out hot, pulling away from the stacked field almost immediately. It was presumed by I think everyone that he was on an unsustainable pace and would likely blow up, but Pau held strong, registering as the first runner through every single checkpoint in the entire race and running extremely consistently to win by almost an hour in 20:19:07. In second place went to Xavier Thevnard in 21:07, and third was Scotty Hawker. On the women's side, Yao Miao of China took things out hot. Last year she won the CCC, and this year had a huge lead on the rest of the women's field, almost mixing it up with the top men. She held on past Cormier, but was passed by Courtney Dauwalter, who'd go on to hold the lead through the finish. Yao would drop in La Foulée after suffering some vision problems. Courtney won her first UTMB in 24:34, winning by exactly an hour over second place Kristen Berglund. Matt Mayor was third in 25:41. Other top American highlights of the other race distances include Hillary Allen placing second at the new longer TDS, and Amanda Basham also nabbing second place at her CCC race. This was a surprising thing to come out of the weekend, ShortsGate. Megan Hicks tweeted out a displeasure with people making so many comments on Courtney Dauwalter's shorts in comparison to Francois Den, who wears literally the same pair all the time. I guess I haven't seen a ton of negative comments about her shorts, but then again, I've always been a huge fan of the long basketball shorts look while running. I think it was Zach Gingrich who first popularized it, but either way, I dig it, and even wear board shorts in races from time to time. Honestly, I'm having a hard time following Megan's point on this one. I think she's saying because Courtney's a woman, people are more focused on her clothing choices compared to Francois, because he's a man? Maybe? I clearly remember an obsession over Walmsley's holy crop top, which dominated the attention of the Western States 100 a couple years back. I think it's also important to note, as @Mike Coben posted on Twitter, in response, that Courtney's Twitter profile literally says ultrarunner with a love for sunshine, long inseams, and candy. She's clearly embraced it. It's just as much of an interesting part of her personality as Corey Woltering's Speedo, Claire Gallagher's frosting, and Zach Gingrich's diet soda addiction. Anywho, the end result of this whole situation is that a new meme/Twitter personality has been born. Thanks, internets. So go and give it a follow at Courts_shorts. Next, over to the IAU 50K World Champs in Romania, which was quite a stacked race this year. The most exciting thing to come out of this year's race was a new world record for the ladies in 3:07 by Alison Dixon of the UK. The previous best was set back in 1989. Second place went to Helen Davies, also of the UK, in 3:09, and third was Alicia Perez in 3:15. The men's winner was Irates Arispide of Spain in 2:47, who was closely followed by the next two men in 2:48 for Lungil Gonkwa and 2:49 for Daniel Nash. The Run the Rut races took place this weekend in Montana, and it looked like a blast as always. Elk rack tattoos, championship belts, a jorts division, and cold hard cash prize money. Sick. In the 50K, Cody Lind won for the men in 5:29, while David Sinclair took the 28K victory in 3:11. For the ladies event, Erica Flowers won in 6:51, while Ann Spencer took the 28K victory just under 4 hours in 3:59. Camille Herron brought this one to our attention. Just a friendly PSA for those using CBD products to make sure what you're using is compliant with all world anti-doping rules and regulations. Although I believe CBD use in general has been approved, if it for some reason contains or it is contaminated with THC, it can still be caught and sanctioned. Pro triathlete Lauren Goss reported that she was using a CBD cream that had THC in it, which tripped a positive test for her. She now faces a 6-month suspension, has been dropped by her title sponsor, and no doubt will now wear the doping scarlet letter for the rest of her career, potentially ending her pro status. This goes for more than just CBD. Make sure you know what you are taking, especially if your livelihood is dependent upon the sport. The USATF team heading to the WMRA Long Distance Mountain Running Championships in Argentina this fall has just been announced, and it's stacked, folks. The women's team will feature Morgan Aratola, Ashley Brasavan, Danny Moreno, Rachel Drake, and Tara Richardson. For the men, it will be Joe Gray, Jim Walmsley, Andy Wacker, Hayden Hawks, and Sam Solly. They compete November 16th on a marathon distance course. Reportedly, Kilian will be heading back to Everest this fall for an attempt at the South Face record time. We don't know how much on this yet, but stay tuned for more. After 161 episodes, over 3 years of weekly news shows, and being with us from day one of this Mountain Outpost journey, our editor of the show, Michael Carson, is retiring and moving on to future endeavors. We have to give a huge thank you to Michael for making this show what it is today, your weekly source for the craziest stuff in running. You can find him at Carson Videography. We're on the lookout for our next editor of this program. If you have an interest, please reach out to us. You can always message me at Jamil Curry on Instagram or email jamil@araviparunning.com. And with that, thanks for tuning in to episode 161 of Outhouse News. This show would not be possible without the support of our Patreon supporters, who help with the production of this show each and every week. Join the Patreon crew at the link below for as little as $2 per month. Huge shout out to our $50 level supporters, Squirrels Nut Butter, Brian Sands, Base Medical, Ultramarathon Medical Care online course, Ultra Trailblazers, Sean Trujillo, and the Twisted Fork Ultra out of Park City, as well as our $25 level supporters, Bluebird Running Company, Josh Goldstein, Carrie Savage, Renee Feint, Casey Carter, and Jeff Holbrook. Thanks for checking out the show, and we'll see you next time. If you have crazy stories to share or a question or feedback for the show, please leave a comment below. And finally, if you'd like to own this custom pair of Jam Jam sunglasses, complete with the signed certificate of authenticity, check out the link in the description. Have a week.